Hey there everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this First Alert Weather Day. I'm Meteorologist Adam Claibon, and here's what we're going to be talking about here as we go throughout the evening and really throughout the weekend, because today is a First Alert Weather Day, but we have two more on the way for Saturday and Sunday. And so we got a lot of things going for us as we head into the next 3 days. We're talking about some heavy rain, which many of us have already dealt with here. We are also going to talk about some breezy winds, which are still going to be kind of gusty, and especially in a few spots. We have fresh advisories that we're going to tell you about where they are, how long they're going to be with us. We're going to talk about the mountain snow that's still yet to come, and there's another potential for thunderstorm activity on the way with this disturbance that's going to come through heading into the day for tomorrow. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Wanted to show you what's happening on radar and what we're dealing with. You can see many spots seeing some moderate to heavier rain, and that's indicated by some of those yellows and even some of the oranges that you're seeing popping up. Now, we're getting towards the tail end of this main band that's beginning to work its way in, so we're going to see that continue to work its way eastward, but still a good amount of time with this steady rain here as we head on into the evening community. You can see just off of the coast right there. I'm going to point it out for you. We do have a couple of flashes of lightning that are popping up just off of the coast. So pretty interesting stuff. A lot of energy with this system, albeit though, doesn't look like it's going to be too much of an issue for us when it comes to flooding. Why? Well, because we are seeing more and more dry conditions. Our soil has been dry for quite some time. But as I zoom out, we're dealing with all of this because of this atmospheric river, something that we've said quite a few times here recently. And essentially all that means is that we have this long fetch of moisture that's coming from off of the Pacific. That, as it works its way closer to us and as you get more of a straight line where those winds can pick up out over the Pacific, it picks up moisture and eventually it dumps it into a localized area. And so you can see those clouds moving from out over more the central and northern Pacific right here towards us across the Pacific Northwest, and that's what's helped to really start to pick up the precipitation here on into the evening. So that's something, again, that we'll keep in mind here as we head on not only into the rest of tonight, but also into the day for Saturday and Sunday. And so that's why we're in first alert mode here as we go into the weekend. Keeping an eye out for some of those areas of heavy rain, gusty winds too, especially here throughout this evening and on into the day for tomorrow. Plus, we're going to keep an eye out for that mountain snow to start to pick up as we head on into tomorrow night more so, and then into the day on Sunday as those snow levels really begin to drop. Now, this is mainly going to be beneficial for us. You can see the latest drought monitor just released yesterday morning shows a lot of severe and extreme drought showing up here across this state, especially for us here on this side of the state. So while this is going to be probably the strongest system we've dealt with so far here this season, a lot of dry soil there for this moisture to soak into. Rivers at this time of the year are still relatively low, so they're going to be able to hold a lot of this water as it drains down from some of the higher terrain. And once we get the snow levels low enough, we're going to start to lock in some of that moisture across the higher terrain too once we head on into the second half of the weekend. All right, your forecast, next 7-day stretch, we're calling for a wet next couple of days. Things starting to quiet down a little bit heading on into Monday, and a little bit of a look ahead towards Halloween. If you have any plans for the kiddos, there is going to be some rain on the way in the forecast. That's something we'll talk about later in the show. Here's a look at La Push right now. And you can see the winds are kind of high enough that they're creating that choppy look to the water there up around La Push. Definitely some wet conditions there, while farther south, out towards the south coast, most of the steady rain is just off to our east now. We've actually seen things beginning to quiet down. Paulsville, rain coming through here, but we're one of the spots that might see a bit more of that rain shadowing, so that will mean less in terms of totals there, while we'll see some heavier totals here around Everett, expecting to get at least maybe an inch, if not more, as we go over the next couple of days. And here in Seattle, you can see some of those deep, dark clouds, and some of them pretty low too, moving across the city right now. Temperatures are going to be holding steady in the low to mid 50s. What we expect is into the night is we really won't drop a whole lot because we'll keep more of that southerly component to that wind. Rain, well, the steady stuff is going to move out of here. Maybe a spotty chance as we head deeper on into the night, and most of that is expected to be light, but that will continue to head its way on through here. Here's radar. It looks impressive. We are seeing some of those heavier pockets of rain, and as we go ahead and zoom into one specific spot here, just around and north of Everett. Snohomish County, you're definitely dealing with some of the heavier rain. North of there, we're getting towards the tail end of where it looks like this main band will be heading east of us around Bellingham. Blaine, Ferndale, it looks like we're already done with that main band. And as you continue south across the island communities, Camano and Whidbey Island, eventually all the way south here around parts of the Kitsap Peninsula, still maybe an hour or so, or maybe even 3 before we start to see things really taper off. But the heaviest of the rain is now beginning to head up into the mountains, and you can see Mount Rainier, where you can see that patchy area blue. That's where we're seeing some of the snow falling right now, but the snow levels are still up there, around 6,000 to 7,000 feet, even closer to 7,500 feet as we speak right now. So everything that's falling across the passes as we speak are in the form of rain, so not a huge issue right there. And then as we take a bigger look, you can see a lot of systems out over the Pacific. This is all going to be heading our way as we go deeper on into the weekend. So we got this first wave that's heading on through here, and Futurecast shows that could be another hit of some lighter showers as we head on into the night. But then we get this break late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. That's 4:30. As we continue on, you'll start to notice that this will head on into the region, and that's going to help to increase our rain chances there. Now, this is not going to be as steady and heavy as the event that we're dealing with for today, but there could be some heavier pockets, and it's going to be within this window too that we could see maybe a chance of some areas of lightning and thunder. The higher chances will be farther south. That's something again that we'll talk about later on here in this this video. But right now, we're keeping things kind of off and on in nature with the rain. Snow levels start to drop too at the same point, and that's why you're seeing a lot more of that blue beginning to pop up across more of the Cascades as we head into that point, and definitely as we head on into Sunday. But Sunday, it just keeps on coming. We keep the rain out there. We start to see that flow coming in more so from the west, so at that point, we'll start to turn on the convergence zone activity, and maybe a few more of us will get in on just a bit more of that rain, especially up near more of Snohomish County, where we deal with that convergence zone quite regularly. Here's a look at what we're expecting rainfall-wise. We're going to keep a lot of those numbers still between about maybe an inch to inch and a half on top of what we've already seen here so far here into the day, which has been closer to about a quarter to a half an inch in many spots. So we're going to put down a bit more, and that will mean many spots getting closer to around that inch to an inch and a half, and not even around 2 inches. So looking at your forecast into the night, expect to see the rain here across the area. We're going to keep temperatures more around the mid to upper 40s, cooling down initially, but keep an eye on those temperatures around Stevens and Snoqualmie Pass. Getting closer to freezing around Stevens Pass. Might see a little mixing late into the night and into the day for tomorrow. Snoqualmie Pass will keep everything in the form of liquid at that point. So no worries if you're driving across Interstate 90 here as we head on into the nighttime hours. And for your day tomorrow, expect to see more of the rain in the forecast as we head on into that point. We're going to see highs around more the low to mid 50s. Not going to be warming up a whole lot because we'll have that thick, deep cloud coverage that'll be in place as we head on into that stretch of time. So it's looking like, yeah, it could be quite a wet day for us again heading on into Saturday. And once we head on into more the day on Sunday, expect more of those temperatures to be on the cool side yet again. Now here's your 7-day forecast. We do have those areas of rain that are going to be in the forecast, and we're pretty much sticking with this here all the way through the next 7-day stretch. So definitely going to be a bit on the wet side. But let's come back to me. We did mention that there's going to be a potential for some stronger winds as we head on into the weekend, and we do have some fresh advisories to tell you about in terms of those winds. Plus, we got a new map out from the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, that shows us where we'll have the best opportunity for some of those storms to develop heading on into the day tomorrow. We'll tell you about that right after this.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.
We're with Liam after his 4th military move, when being new is starting to get old. We're with Tara during the holidays, when she misses home the most. We're with all service members and their families who need connection, comfort, and a home away from home. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. I wanted to get straight into this right here. We are still in first alert mode, and we're going to have this with us for the next couple of days as well, Saturday and Sunday. So today's event was more about seeing some of those snow levels closer to about 6,000 to 7,000 feet and dealing with more of the steady rain and some of the gustier winds too, which have died off for today, but there are more to come as we head on into the day for tomorrow. Plus, we're going to see a bit more that went into the day for tomorrow with slower snow levels. That comes along with the possibility of seeing at least some snow around Stevens, White Pass, with snow elevations about 4,500 feet. Now they really start to drop into more of Saturday night and into Sunday, and that's something, again, that we're going to talk about later in the show, the snow that we're expecting. But the next couple of days will still be rainy and windy, and wanted to stress this quite a bit, that this system that's coming in is mainly going to be beneficial. What we've been noticing is that the rain's been coming down, and this is the strongest system that we've dealt with so far here this season. It's not a major one, but there's been a lot of issues. It's been a bit of a nuisance. A lot of ponding on the roads. Hydroplaning going to be an issue for you. You want to be careful of all of that, and it can ruin your day too if you do get into an accident. So just be careful with that. But again, the main point is that this system is very beneficial. It's going to be really helpful when it comes to trying to eat away at some of these drought conditions that we have across the area. Speaking of the rain so far here today, this is what we picked up. About 1/4 of an inch up to 3/4 of an inch as you get around most spots around Puget Sound and around the Kitsap Peninsula. Hood Canal around Shelton, 3/4 of an inch there. Now, Bellingham, we haven't seen a whole lot yet. And Port Townsend, too, we're on the lower side, and that's because of rain shadowing from the Olympics. Expect that to kind of change here over the next day or so. And the coast, as usual, they're the big winners so far here, coming up over an inch and a half up there near Quileute of rain so far here for the day. All right, here's a look out at Westport, and it's down this way that we might have some of the best chances of seeing not only just a few areas of lightning and thunder, some of the stronger gusts too. Now, just south of us here in Westport, we're going to have possible gusts up around 50 to maybe 60 miles per hour in Pacific County. Farther north here, I think we'll keep it closer to about 40 to 45. In Port Angeles, we have cloudy skies here. No wind advisories for us, but we'll start to see some of those gusts closer to 20 or maybe 30 miles per hour into the day for tomorrow. In Tacoma, things are wet here, and they only get wetter here as we head into the night. Again, mentioning some of the ponding that is showing up on the roads. We have some of these leaves falling off, and they're creating some of that urban flooding and some water showing up on those streets, those highways, those roads, the interstate. Just be careful of all of that. All right, pretty light look as we deal with the rain here as we head on into the evening. Main batch of this first event of rain is going to be with us into the evening commute. So we'll probably have that with us until about 5, 6 o'clock later on into the night. There will be another wave of some showers coming through, but that will be a quick hitter, and then things do die off for the remainder of the night and as we head on into the day for tomorrow before this next round comes in, maybe more so later tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon. We are expecting to see some lightning and thunder with this as we head on into tomorrow afternoon, as some of that energy that you can see just off of the coast, just west of Forks, popping up there. It's just not in place right now because a lot of the rain that we've been dealing with, that's helping to stabilize the atmosphere. And as I zoom in, you can see that heavier band of rain now heading up into the Cascades. We're not really seeing a whole lot as far as snow quite yet, anywhere near where our radar is able to pick it up. Now, as you get up closer to about 8,000 to 9,000 feet, then yeah, you're going to start to see some snow in some of those spots. But areas that are going to be dealing with the rain and the snow so far, or with the snow, so far are going to be too high up for any of us really to have to be concerned with, especially on some of those major highways in the interstate. But the rain farther south, you can see that that's still coming down here across a lot of South Sound. And big picture is we still got quite a bit to come with that next disturbance that you see just out over the coast beginning to head our way. So let's talk about the winds, because we do have those and we have fresh advisories because of that. Now out towards the coast, we do have a wind advisory that starts up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. That will stick with us until 11 a.m. into more of, or 11 p.m., heading into Saturday night. Some of the winds between about 15 to 30 miles per hour could be on the strong side, but it's the gusts sometimes that do pick up. That could be more the issue. A few more leaves on the trees. It's kind of the first, again, storm of the season that we're dealing with winds of this magnitude, which will be a bit more widespread. So that could help to create a bit more drag on some of those limbs and those branches. And power outages, they're possible. Don't expect them to be a widespread issue, but keep in mind, if you do have to deal with it, that it's going to be around for us as we head on into the day tomorrow because of some of the stronger winds. And another thing I wanted to point out, it's just south of where we really covered, but it's down into us more Pacific County into parts of the north coast of Oregon. That mustard color, that's where you have a high wind warning. And some of those gusts could get up closer to maybe 60 miles per hour down into some of those spots. So if you have any plans of heading down that way, you're going to want to keep that in mind and be careful. But for those of us farther to the east, not as much wind really expected. We don't have any advisories, but I wanted to time it out for you to show you how things are going to shape up for us as we head on into tonight and into the day tomorrow. Here we are later tonight at 11 p.m. You can see some of those gusts around 15 to maybe 25 miles per hour. We continue on into tomorrow morning. You can start to see a bit more of that purple popping up, and it's out there towards the coast. And those are the areas that we do have those wind advisories. So we're going to see some of those gusts start to get up closer to 40, maybe 45 miles per hour. Wouldn't be surprised if we got some of those gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So it is coming, and we'll see more of that as we go deeper on into the morning and throughout the afternoon, while areas here farther to the east, we're seeing more of those gusts closer to about 15 to 25, maybe up to 30 miles per hour up that way around more of the San Juans or maybe Camino and Whidbey Island as well. The Admiralty Inlet sometimes can see a bit more of that wind. That's going to hang with us, though, as we head on into the night. And really, it's tomorrow evening and tomorrow night that we see, with this area of low pressure beginning to push on through, that the strongest wind gusts could start to impact us. So at that point, you're seeing gusts down around Hoquiam, just south of there. Some of those gusts getting closer to about 50 miles per hour. So that'll be the time frame that if we are going to start to notice maybe power outages, that we're going to have it at that point. Keep an eye out, too, if there are any down lines or limbs or anything like that, to drive around them, or really just maybe even don't try to drive around them if there's no easy way to get around, because you don't want to have to deal with that, and of course that could be dangerous. We continue on as we head into the latter part of Saturday night into early Sunday, and you see how drastically these winds begin to let up. We'll start to see some of those gusts closer to about 10 to 15, maybe 20 miles per hour at that time as things are beginning to improve. So at that point, again, yes, things should not be nearly as bad for us as we head on. And we continue on throughout the day on Sunday. Generally, winds are going to be between about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now, this is something else that we mentioned, the storm possibility heading into the day for tomorrow. Check this out. This is from the Storm Prediction Center, and this is showing us where we have the possibility of thunderstorms in the area. Now, that includes pretty much the entire state. That's the lighter green color that you're seeing showing up here on the map. The darker green color, well, that's where there's a possibility and the potential for severe storms, which in this case, we're talking more so strong wind gusts that could get up closer to about 50 or 60 or maybe even around 70 miles per hour farther south. Now, those will be within certain cells that will be stronger and will be more spotty and isolated in nature. It's not expected to be a widespread event, but farther south in the state, we have more energy for that to really happen. So up this way, don't want to completely dismiss it. Could be some areas of lightning and thunder. That's an issue in itself, but it doesn't look like we'll be in that prime spot, or at least the higher potential spot of seeing any severe weather here that's going to be making its way here across the state or down into Oregon. So looking at that again on Futurecast, you'll kind of see how all of that comes together. Into tomorrow morning, we get this band of rain that's going to come through, but you see this circulation, this spin of low pressure that's going to work its way through. And then we see that just around the evening hours beginning to work its way on by, and that's that center, and that's when we really start to see that pickup in the winds. It's because of that that's happening right there. That's really going to help to ramp up the winds and bring in the slightly higher chance of that instability being in place for the thunderstorm potential to be around for us. We'll keep the rain around, and then yes, you can see the snow really beginning to pick up across the Cascades, and that's something that we're going to have around heading on into Sunday. Monday, maybe a few snow showers out there, and we'll talk about that here coming up in a bit. As far as tomorrow's forecast, though, mid-50s around Bellingham, 54 in Orcas Island. We'll get up to around 55 in Clinton, getting up closer to about the mid-50s around Paulsville. Redmond, 55 degrees. More mid to lower 50s down this way around South Sound, and calling for temperatures as you head farther south across the state to be in the mid-50s. Keep in mind, down this way, this is where we could see some of the strongest wind gusts possible, and the potential, too, for some of those stronger storms. Up this way across the rest of the Olympic Peninsula, highs generally in the low 50s. Hurricane Ridge for the time being, a high of 38 degrees. That's going to stay above freezing, but that'll change as we head on into more of Sunday. Here's your forecast, next 7-day stretch. We'll keep those temperatures in the 50s here all the way through the next 7 days. And yes, there's the potential for rain heading on into next Friday. But we keep talking about the lower snow levels. They are coming, and that will mean snow here across our mountains. And we do have advisories out for that. We'll tell you about where they are and how long they're sticking with us coming up.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.
We're with Liam after his 4th military move. When being new is starting to get old. We're with Tara during the holidays when she misses home the most. We're with all service members and their families who need connection, comfort, and a home away.
We're expecting heading on into the weekend in terms of snowfall. Now, we're still in first alert mode here, next couple of days here into the night and for Saturday and Sunday. And we've been talking quite a bit about the rain and what we're expecting as far as the potential for gusty winds and maybe thunderstorm potential too. Now, wanted to get into the mountain snow part of this forecast because that's something that we're going to be looking at here as we head more so into the day on Sunday. That's when I think we see the majority of the snow falling into that point. Let's go ahead and take a look at those snow levels as they start to come down. We'll see those eventually down to around 4,500 feet on Saturday. Sunday, we're down to 3,000 feet. That will mean Snoqualmie Pass will be at full play for getting snowfall at that point. And some accumulating snowfall is going to be with us as we head on into that time. Now, out towards the coast, yes, things are pretty quiet here as we speak right now. Could be a few showers out there, but let's take a look up into the mountain to see how things are shaping up for us right now. Well, Snoqualmie Pass, it's wet. Again, snow levels still fairly high. Up around Paradise, after we had some snow early into the week, a lot of that's melting away with, right now, some higher snow levels, but it hasn't completely melted away, and we'll be putting quite a bit down more on top of that, too, as we head on into this upcoming weekend. And then we'll take one more stop here at Stevens Pass, and you can see that things are looking wet, but good to go. Here as we head on into the night and for most of the day, heading on into the day for tomorrow. All right, your forecasts here as we head on into the evening, calling for this system to continue to bring in some of this rain across the forecasted area. And you can see radar already impressive when it comes to the amount of rain and just how wide and slow the system is moving. And it's helping to produce some decent totals here so far and out towards the coast, even noticing a few areas of lightning and thunder. Now, the heavy rain Farther north, up here around Bellingham, we're right at the tail end of this. We're beginning to see that quiet on down. Over towards Sequim and I would say Discovery Bay, we're at the tail end of this as well. While farther south, South Sound, we're still in this here for a little while longer. As this initial wave gets on through here, we'll have more systems behind that will help to increase the rain from time to time, and eventually that's going to help to bring down the snow levels. So you can see here across the Cascades, we do have winter weather advisories. That's shaded in the purple for you, starting at 11 p.m. on Saturday until 11 p.m. on Sunday. Amounts not looking to be too high, nothing major again, but between about 5 to 10 inches will be falling here as we head on into the weekend, and we're expecting that for generally elevations above 3,500 feet could be some higher amounts, especially as you get closer to Paradise or around Baker. Now, the moisture altogether is moving on through. First one you can see, especially across the North Cascades, helping to reduce some snowfall up there later tonight as those snow levels start to become a bit lower. But we go throughout the remainder of the night and into the day for tomorrow, seeing those snow levels staying closer to about 4,500 to 5,000 feet. Then things start to get interesting as we go on into the latter part of the night, heading on into Saturday night and Sunday, and you can see a lot more of that snow beginning to pop up at that point. And that's what's really going to help to produce the snowfall, and we get converter zone activity, which is going to keep that around too as we head on into Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. Meaning snow levels are going to drop low enough for Snoqualmie Pass to see a bit more of that snow here as we head on into that time. Amounts around Stevens Pass, I think closer to 6 to maybe 10 inches is a good go there. And then Baker and Paradise, which are going to be much higher in elevation, will get the better chances of seeing some of that snowfall. Hurricane Ridge, too, which is only seeing a high of 38 tomorrow, well, things are going to become quite a bit colder and feature a bit more of that snow. All right, one more look at your 7-day forecast. We get done with this, we start to quiet down a little bit. Less rain, but still some rain around as we head on into next week. And then, yes, keeping an eye out for that forecast heading into Friday. Looks like, yes, there will be some showers around for Halloween. All right, everyone, well, make sure that you're keeping safe, staying as dry as possible here as we head on into the weekend. And we'll keep you updated here on King 5 Plus and king5.com. Take care.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.